Should we introduce who we are and how we met?
Sure. I don't remember how we met.
You don't remember how we met?
I do. Like, I know it was cheer. But as far as, like, how we started... Girl, I did a lot of drugs.
Okay, please add this as the intro to our intro.
I remember, trying out for cheer. Let me tell you what I remember.
Okay.
But I remember... I can't say her name. Spotting you in a backhand spring.
Oh, God.
And she had no idea how much to spot you, and then she didn't at all, really.
Yeah, she just kind of, like, dropped me on my
Yeah,
neck.
and you just kind of you laid there flat, but it was your reaction that I was like, that's awesome. You just kind of laid there, closed your eyes a minute, and then you just started laughing. I was like, that's somebody I appreciate.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how we became friends. It was through cheerleading.
I don't either.
Because when we first met, I didn't think we were going to have anything in common. Because you looked like you were really put together and you were going to be popular. Hang out with... And I was like, this is not for me. But then you actually ended up being, like, really smart and honest. Because we used to tell each other, we were like, you have a giant booger in your nose. Like,
I thought you were about to say something about a vagina.
You have a giant booger in your vagina. Hello. Like, we're not that close.
I think I would remember that.
No. I just like that you are always really honest. And I always appreciate that.
Sorry, I remember none of that.
It's okay.
I remember little random things. I don't know. Like, I remember, I told you the other day, like, how you always paint your nails every night.
Yeah.
I remember y'all throwing me that surprise birthday party at your house. I remember your birthday party.
Yes, my
That
birthday
was epic.
Party. Yes, with the stripper, Mr. Goodbody. I was in tears.
Oh, man.
Remember? Because I just wanted a book.
Oh, my God.
I have that book upstairs. It's The Memoirs of Cleopatra by Margaret George. And my mom would not buy it for me because it was so expensive.
I think Cleopatra would appreciate a stripper.
Probably more than I did.
I'll just read about it. Your sister was all about it.
Yeah. I think my mom was all about it. I still have the pictures upstairs, and I was just like horrified. Your mom was just
sitting back. I do. She was just back there like, I don't... Your mom's hilarious.
I think she thought it was going to, like, help me come out of my shell. When all it really did was, like, force me back inside the shell.
Sad part is, she asked me. I was like, sure.
Chris was like, yeah, okay, go ahead.
And I was like, I have no idea.
Then you went in the living room, and you didn't even see the stripper, did you?
Yeah.
Who all went into the living room? There was, like, a couple of people that were like, no, we have to go in the living room.
Oh, I don't remember anybody else. I don't remember any of that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I know, I mean, it was a good time, but drugs... It made me forget other good times,
Yeah. We played a lot of mini golf on double dates.
I do remember that.
Watched a lot of movies on double dates.
Wait, I need to tell the Nickelodeon story.
You want me to tell the Nickelodeon story? So, on our double date, we went to go see Titanic because it was the biggest movie in the theater. And it's the guy you're on a date with, then you, then me, then the guy I'm on the date with. And I've already seen this movie.
Which is your current husband.
Oh, yeah. My current husband. We say that like I've had many.
There was a couple in between.
The only husband. The husband. That guy.
You keep going back to him.
Yeah. I mean, for 21 years we've been married.
Exactly.
So I guess it worked. But so we're watching the movie, and I've already seen it. And Leonardo DiCaprio takes Kate Winslet's hand, and he kisses it. And he's like, I saw that in a Nickelodeon once, and I always wanted to do it. And my super gifted friend, Kristen, leans over to me, and she goes, I didn't know they had that channel back then. Like, no, you put a nickel in it and you turn a crank. It shows a little movie.
I think I knew.
Okay, sure.
I'll never admit it.
We can go with that.
Yeah, I would say I was ditzy, but I'm still pretty ditzy.
But you're not dumb, so there's a difference. You're very intelligent.
I feel like I have to defend that very often.
Okay.
It's okay, though. There was a time where I thought it was kind of cool that I was ditzy because it was kind of the Cher Horowitz phase of Clueless. And so I owned it at that time, but then there came another time later, kind of in my party days where those people didn't know me as good. I had to constantly, I do know what I'm talking about. I am a smart person. Fuck you.
See, I never wanted to come off as ditzy because my whole personality and what I based myself off of was that I was
smart.
Intelligent.
All right, changing gears. What do you think got you into the paranormal?
My family, especially on my mom's side of the family, so my mom and my maternal grandmother and my maternal great-grandmother have always been interested in ghosts and the other side while also being religious. Well, my great-grandmother used to tell everybody a story of how she had visited a haunted house. And when I was in elementary school, I actually wrote a paper because you had to interview somebody who is older in your family. And she told the story of how this picture floated across the living room.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then
oh my God.
When I was younger, my mom always loved scary movies. I didn't like them as a child. The 1963, The Haunting of Hill House, the black and white one.
The old one? Yeah, I just saw the new one. We talked about that.
Yeah. The black and white one was the first movie that I watched as a child that kept me up at night. And I couldn't sleep. And
how old as a child would you say?
Maybe 8 or 9. The crazy thing about that movie is you never see the ghost. You never see the monster. So it's all kind of like a psychological thing where you can make it as scary as possible because it's based on your own thing.
I always think that's scarier.
Yeah.
The minute they show or reveal the scary thing, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's not that scary. I love Freddy Krueger. I enjoy watching him suck Johnny Depp into the bed. What?
I've never seen it.
With Johnny Depp?
I've never seen it. I know. Well, I was a big chicken as a kid. Finish your story and then we'll talk about my sad.
I don't know if I can continue this podcast.
We'll watch it together sometime.
I feel like I've been lied to.
But scared of the preview. I'm not going to watch the movie. So, family ghost stories and movies. What else makes you into the paranormal?
When I had my eating disorder and I got so thin and my depression got so bad, I experienced a lot more paranormal things than when I wasn't. And even now, when my depression gets really bad and I'm not really taking care of it, I experience sometimes more than I do when I'm on a healthier track. And I wonder sometimes if that need and that issue puts up a call. I'm looking for something, I need something. Because sometimes...
Or you're more vulnerable.
Right. Because a lot of times that's when I have more dreams of people who have passed on that I truly loved and I truly missed that makes me feel better. I'll hear things and I will see things. And my kids do too. And it's usually based off of my level of depression and my level of stress. So the more it goes up, it's like I can't block whatever part of me is saying hey, what's going on? Why don't y'all come and visit?
My question with that is because this is something I struggle with paranormal versus mental illness, because with mine being bipolar disorder, I do have hallucinations sometimes. And I know I can have them when I'm manic or when I'm depressed. And so I wonder, do you think any of what you're experiencing might be some hallucinations, or that it's all paranormal, or maybe a combination of both? Because that's where I struggle. I've had some experiences, but I can almost always pinpoint it to my condition. So I'm always curious about what is truly happening. But anytime a dog is reacting, that's when I start going, okay, maybe that's something else. But I'm more of I wouldn't say I'm a full-on believer, but I'm also not a non-believer. I'm more of a question what's going on.
I think as far as for me and for my family, we have a line of strong belief built off of what we see and what we experience. And I think a lot of the times I shut that down because I had some scary things happen when I was younger with my eating disorder and seeing things and doing experiments that were terrifying. And to prevent that, I think I fully have put up a wall where I go into a place, I get certain feelings. That happened when Josh and I tried to live in an apartment and it was totally haunted, and we ended up leaving in the middle of the night because it was so...
Yeah. So you're the smart people that don't end up on a movie where you're like, why didn't you leave? But you did leave, so there's no movie about you.
I would have left. I did leave. I will leave again. But again, I think it's like learning how to protect yourself and how to put up barriers where you're like, you know what, you're not allowed in my house. And there's times where I have to say, you know what, I welcome family and friends to visit me in my dream, but anybody else that's not the Holy Spirit of Christ, you're not allowed in my home. And the belief that I'm strong enough to put that wall up, they're not coming in.
Yeah, I get that. I have feelings too, but because of my condition, I always question it. So I'm unaware of what I'm feeling. I don't want to feel it, and I think that might be why. I had to do the same thing with my own personality. how much is my personality versus how much is my condition adding on. It just, for me, with mine, makes it kind of confusing. It makes life confusing. What's real and what's not. I know I had an experience when I was a kid. That was freaky.
Well, tell us what that experience was.
We used to go to my Meemaw's house, which is my great-grandma up in Georgia, for Thanksgiving every year. And probably about 2 blocks down, there was a haunted house down there. And so I was one of the youngest cousins, and we would all go down there and like dare each other to go touch the front door. And then once they touched the front door, it was, I dare you to go inside. Which, had we gone inside, we probably would have fell on the floor because it was that old. Wow. It's torn down now. I think there's some apartments there, which maybe they're also haunted. I haven't been there. She died when I was 10, I think. But it was not long before this, so I was either 9 or 10. But I was too scared to go touch the door, so I'm standing out on the street. Well, it had this 3rd floor, are they called like dormers?
Right, the windows that kind of extend. Yeah.
So I look up there, and I see this, look like a shadow figure thing, and I'm like, what is that? Well, it turned around in this weird fluid movement that I can't really fully describe. And then it turned around and it looked at me and it had these red eyes. And I was like, ah! And I like took off running down the road. I couldn't tell anybody what it was. I was that scared. That was the only one that I can verify that I had. Any of the other ones, I'm not sure if it's my condition or I did actually experience something. All right, so yeah, I was trying to think why I got into true crime, and I don't really know where to pinpoint it, like where it actually started, because, you know, I was pretty sheltered growing up.
Yes.
But I honestly could think maybe, because I remember hearing about serial killers and stuff. I guess that would make me feel scared, but I never really thought about it being anywhere near us.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing was the Maddie Clifton case.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she was so much younger than us, but it was still like her neighbor did that. And stored her under his waterbed. Those were all real things to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if my neighbor does that? All of a sudden, I was on high alert. I actually felt scared. I remember being in my house alone thinking, what if one of my neighbors comes? What if this crazy guy comes from the south side of Jacksonville and decides to kill me for some reason?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what made it so scary, is that there sometimes just isn't any rhyme or reason.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. And I didn't really know the whole story until recently. One of the other podcasts I listened to, Morbid, they covered it, and they actually talked to her sister, so it was a lot of information that I definitely didn't know back then. I think maybe that's what started a fascination with it, but then, you know, there was always Unsolved Mysteries, there was always 2020. It was just always around, and I always ended up watching it. I don't know if I ever really thought about it. I just watched it. I know, like, books I like to read are a lot to do with mysteries and usually crime related, but I like reading the fictional ones. I'm not as into the true crime ones. When I started listening to podcasts probably a year or 2 ago, I'm not really sure when I started. The first one that looked interesting was a true crime podcast. I mean, it had other things to it. That was Morbid. My Favorite Murder was the other. I've just started catching up on And That's Why We Drink. Do you care at all about true crime?
Sometimes I'll watch true crime on like Netflix. I really like Evil Lives Here on Netflix. But as much as I love my ghosts, I'll watch any scary movie. I go to Halloween Horror Nights every year. Actual evil people is what scares me, so I can't watch a lot of it. And I'm already overprotective of my children, so then I'm like, don't make eye contact with anybody.
It's funny you say that, because I actually find the possibility of paranormal world scarier than the real ones. Because, I mean, I know they could sneak up on you, but I know I have the possibility, not that I'll be able to, but the possibility of fighting an actual person off. All I can go off of is the movies and stories, but the ghosts, they just pop up out of nowhere and then they disappear, and like, how am I going to fight that? And then they won't go away. An unwanted house guest, I mean, that's the biggest nightmare.
I feel like knowing how sadistic and really horrible the human person can be is what's scary.
What type of true crime scares you the most?
Unsolved true crime, like Villisca, Axe Murder House. That was atrocious. They killed children, and they never actually figured out who did it. I think that's the worst. It had to do with children.
That gets to me too.
And then there's no recompense. Nobody pays for the crime.
Mine is being tortured. I can handle anything with being tortured. Anything with kids, I don't even want to touch it. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do the children true crime things.
No, I cannot.
If I ever cover the crime side of Villisca and you cover the paranormal side, or you can do the whole thing at some point, it doesn't matter. That kind of thing would be about the only one. But it would be like a gloss over. There would not be details.
No. Well, why do you think that torture is what bothers you the most?
I'm not scared of dying, but, you know, it's inevitable. And I'm guessing there may come a day where I might have a painful death, but at least it'll be over fairly quickly. The whole part of being tortured is, number one, you don't know when it's going to be over. You don't know if it's going to be over. You don't know if you're preparing yourself for death, or am I preparing myself to try to escape. Anything that forces me to stay in one place without me wanting to be in that one place, that tortures me mentally. So, I mean, the thought of some weird random person having complete control over your life, I mean, that just is complete. That's completely terrifying. Anything related to that. That is why, when I was younger, never dated anybody that I didn't already know or somebody else already knew. Because I was like, if I don't know you, you're a serial killer. Little did I know at that time, people you did know could be serial killers.
Yeah. That's why I only dated one person. No, I'm just joking.
You just fell in love
That's
immediately.
because I was ugly.
Whatever. You're not ugly. Anyway, so I guess that's enough about who we are. Intro. I'm sure more of us will come out throughout.
Yeah.
First, we're going to try to put out an episode every 2 weeks.
Yes.
Probably eventually get to once a week. I'm going to have a hard time not calling you Becca.
It's okay. You can call me Becca. It's fine.
All right. Privileges of friendship of 26 years.
Yeah. Even though you don't remember most of it, I'll still let you
I do. Not. You're correct.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, so I think every 2 weeks, we're going to talk about true crime, paranormal, anything weird.
All right, so that's our intro.
Ta-da!
See you on our first episode.